I got bacon. I want to try it.
But with the oyster.
Okay.
Well, that adds a lot of sweetness.
Oyster and bacon? Come on, let's do this.
It's pretty hot.
Yep. Oh. It's like everything you'd ever want, all in one bite.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Kiino. I'm the Culinary Director at Hog Island Oyster Company. And today we're going to walk you through making our cornbread oyster stuffing. So first we're going to take our veggies, and for this stuffing we use celery and leeks. We just do a nice small dice on these, just like that. And what I do is I just cut them in strips, and then I'll just cut them down into little cubes. And in my stuffing I like to have a little bit of texture from the vegetables, so we don't want to go too small. So maybe like a 1/4 inch dice is good. So I'll just put that over here. Done. Leeks are kind of funny vegetable because you do toss some parts of it. The green leaves we don't usually use, so we'll just kind of peel that part away. And leeks are also grown in the ground, so they can be kind of muddy, so we've got to give them a little bath before we use them. We'll basically cut them the same way we did the celery, so in half like that, and then half again, so we get little small dice, 1/4 inch, and those we can just cut the same way, just like that. So about the same size as the celery, about a 1/4 inch dice. And those will go into the water right here, just to give them a little rinse because we want to get all the sand out of them. And so since this is a cornbread stuffing, it's kind of got a southern feel to it. So we're going to do a little bit of seasoning with some jalapeños and crystal hot sauce and some fennel seeds. So it's a tiny bit spicy. So to me, Thanksgiving isn't really Thanksgiving without some kind of salty pork product. So in this stuffing, we're going to use bacon. My family's stuffing, we usually use sausage. But for this, I think the cornbread goes really well with the bacon. This is bacon from Hobbs over in Napa. They're a local company, and they make all of the bacon for Hog Island Oyster Company. So this is also the bacon we use as a base in our clam chowder. So little pieces like this, not so big that they won't render, but big enough so you can see them in the stuffing when it's done. And so this is about 8 ounces of bacon, but if you love bacon, feel free to add more. This is a very flexible recipe. Okay, so bacon goes away. The next we have is a jalapeno and some fresh thyme and garlic. So the thyme, we can just take the leaves off just like that. And if you just run your fingers down the stem, the leaves will come right off. We'll need about a tablespoon worth. And chop that up. Set to the side. Next we have a jalapeno. So just be aware when you're working with jalapenos, you can get a little bit of spicy on your fingers. So some people like to wear gloves. I like to wear gloves if I'm using really spicy peppers like serranos, but jalapenos usually don't bother me. So we're just going to take the seeds out, as many as you can. Also take some of this white part out, because that just doesn't have the best texture. Same thing as we did with the other veggies, we'll just line them up and just cut them straight down. If you're at home making this, you can also add more or less jalapeno depending on your spice level. Next we'll chop up some garlic here. This is about 4 cloves worth, 4 big cloves. And a nice small mince on these. Last thing is we'll chop up some parsley. It's got a really nice aromatic flavor to it, so that's why we like to use it. And we'll just give a nice rustic rough chop to this. But now we're ready to cook off our aromatics. I'm just gonna warm up a saute pan here. It will not be Thanksgiving without butter. So we're gonna add about half a stick of butter. That'll start melting there. So while the butter's melting, we're also gonna add our bacon pieces. So those will render together. And the idea is we wanna have a lot of fat in the base. So we don't wanna worry about draining off any bacon fat or anything like that. We're just gonna keep all that fat in the stuffing to give it extra flavor. Okay, so this bacon is starting to look nice and rendered out. The butter started to brown a little bit. That's fine because that brown butter is just gonna give a little extra flavor to our stuffing. So next we'll start adding our veggies, celery, leeks. There we go. Let those kind of start sauteing and all that bacon and butter fat. The salt we're actually using today is our Hog Island Saltworks salt. And I just think that anytime we cook with our Hog Island oysters, when we add the Hog Island salt, it really adds a certain magic to the dish. We'll add the rest of our aromatics, the jalapeños, garlic, and fresh thyme. We'll let that cook out for about 5 minutes or so, just the veggies are softened. We don't really want to cook them down too much. There we go. So at this point it's been about 5 minutes and our veggies are looking nice and cooked out, but no color really. So we'll just give this another little stir. I like to add vermouth because vermouth is a white wine that's been flavored with a lot of savory herbs. So I think it just adds a lot of depth to your dish. So vermouth is a great ingredient when you're doing like a savory stuffing recipe or a soup or even a chowder. So we're just gonna let that come up to a boil, cook out for a few more minutes. So at this point the vermouth the alcohol's cooked off, but it's still nice and juicy. While it's still hot, we want to assemble our stuffing. So I'll take it right over here. Now we're gonna put together our stuffing. So we have two kinds of bread. We have a stale toasted bread here. This is actually our green onion slab, and it's from Acme Bakery. And we also have a homemade cornbread right here that's just been a little bit stale. So it was made yesterday, and we want it a little bit dry, but not totally dried out. So we're gonna kind of mix that up, bowl, and we'll add our cooked veggies here with the bacon mix. Goes right in there, just like that. And we want to do this when the bacon mix is still warm, so that helps the bread absorb everything. And we'll add our spices next. So we have, this is an Old Bay seasoning. You can also use a poultry seasoning if you'd like, but kind of we're going with a Southern inspired recipe, so that's why we're using Old Bay in this one. We have our Crystal hot sauce, which is a Southern, this red pepper hot sauce. I really like to add a little extra so it's spicy. And the last seasoning we have, or last two seasonings, we have fennel seeds, so about a teaspoon of that. And we're just gonna give them a light crush. It's not pureed, but just crushed up to give them a little, break them up a little bit. So just like that. And those go right in there. And then we'll also add a little bit of white pepper, ground white pepper. White pepper goes great with poultry, so I always like to put it in our Thanksgiving stuffing. And since this is such a rich dish, I like to add a little bit of lemon, so maybe about 1 lemon worth of lemon juice. Squeeze that right in there. So we'll add a little bit of salt. Again, even though we salt in the beginning, we want to add basically salt at every stage. And we'll also add some chopped parsley. Okay, so everything looks pretty mixed in there. The last thing we'll do is add our shucked oysters. So these are small oysters, Sweetwater small oysters from Hog Island, but you can use really any variety. We like to use the small size just because they're a little bit bigger and they give a nice They're nice and juicy and they cook up really nice in this. So what we'll do is just add the oysters and their juice to the stuffing, just like that. And we want to add the oysters last because we just want to kind of gently fold them in. We don't want to break them up too much. So we just mix until it's just mixed through like that. And now it's ready to bake. We can put it into a shallow baking dish, or we're going to use a cast iron skillet, and we'll bake it for about an hour until it gets crispy on top and it's warm through. Oh, yep, nice and brown. So we're going to bring it back over here.
All right, let's dig in.
It's pretty hot.
Yep. This is delicious.
So here it is. It's our cornbread oyster stuffing. This is available as a kit online, so you don't have to do any work. You do have to shuck the oysters. That's the only work involved. Hope you enjoy it with your friends and family this Thanksgiving holiday. Let us know in the comments what you think, and like and subscribe.